Jai Saparikasi Sri Guru Goranga Radha Sham Sundar Giridhari Ju Ki Jai. Jai. So, welcome everyone to our regular Sunday afternoon talk broadcast from the East London branch Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math London chapter. And today we are honoured to have with us as our special guest Srila Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj and about 20 devotees from our West London Mott who have come here, including our dignitaries from Italy, from America, from Ireland, and all came for the celebration of the festival at West London yesterday. And we're also very happy that Maharaj is here today. We are embarrassing him and observing his appearance day festival.
That already happened.
So for his for his disciples and well-wishers and followers, we want to honor him in that way. Is it okay? It's all right. Good. Okay. So I just want to check if this other diddler is working here. Things are meant to be all wireless now, aren't they? Hare Krishna, no, it's not done. When you meant to turn it down.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. I'll read you a story in the meantime.
Hare Krishna.
Oh, am I meant to have a microphone?
Yes. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, that one's not for some reason. Yeah.
Okay. Jai Saprika Shri Guru Gauranga Radha Shyama Sundar Juki Jai Jai Shri Giriraj Juki Jai Shrimati Tulsi Ki Jai Srila Gurudev Srila Bhakti Chandra Govinda Deva Swami Maharaj Ki Jai Srila Guru Maharaj Srila Bhakti Raka Sri Deva Swami Maharaj Ki Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Saranta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai Sri Rupa Nuga Guru Babu Ki Jai Vishwarenya Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. And so, dear devotees, I'm going to read you a little bit. Some of you've read this many times. I have also read it many times. But as we hear, when you rub sandalwood paste, when you rub sandalwood on that grinding stone, and in Chandan Yatra time in India, then Keshwananbu knows, I know in Vrindavan, you have a line of women. Why only women? I don't know.
No, we have a line of everyone.
Got a line of all species, okay, all types of human beings, and they have their stones, and they're all rubbing and rubbing and rubbing the chandan. The more you rub the chandan, the more fragrance comes out of it. So, no harm that you've heard this before. This is Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Swami Maharaj. The innermost hankering of every living soul is for no cheating. For beauty. Okay, it is. It's also there, and this is this time that Guru Maharaj is talking about. Oh yes, they know, they can predict what Guru Maharaj can say. Okay, the innermost hankering of every living soul is for beauty, love, affection, and harmony. Not for power, knowledge, or anything else. And this is the diagnosis of the whole creation in time and space. Their common cause is one. The whole creation in time and space. This is the diagnosis. You go to the doctor is going to diagnose what is your necessity and what isn't your necessity. So what's the diagnosis? in all time and space?
Beauty.
Sure.
The innermost hankering of every soul is
Beauty, love, harmony.
affection, all these things. Yes, beauty, love, affection and harmony. Not for power, knowledge or anything else. This is the diagnosis of the whole creation in time and space. Their common cause is one. But it is rare for a soul to reach such a clear stage of hankering for reality as to understand this point. So now we know this room is, really it is, full of rare souls. Because somehow everybody in this room has got this recognition that really that is the wealth of life, it's the wealth of consciousness. And you see people, while we are singing, I'm sitting here looking this way, and I'm seeing so many people looking curiously because they hear the kirtan, they're going past, of all colors, all shapes, all sizes, and of all, what did we say before, men, women, and any other forms of human being. They're all passing by up and down the street. And they're kind of inquisitive. But how many really, when you talk to them, can catch this point? But here we've all caught it to some degree. Sometimes clarity, sometimes a bit less clarity. When adverts come on the television that say, no, you should have this, that will make you happy. But nothing else except for love, affection and harmony. Beauty, love, affection and harmony. Not for power, knowledge or anything else. All right. So this room is full of rare souls. Few souls are to be found in this world who are really conscious of their innermost necessity. Who realize, we want Krishna, we want Vrindavan. Vidyate hridaya grantis chityante sapasamshayaha shiyante chasya karmani mai drishte kilatmani. And then Guru Maharaj translates his words saying about this person. Our inner aspiration for rasa, ecstasy, is buried within our hearts, which are tied down and sealed. But hearing and chanting the glories of Krishna breaks the seal of the heart and allows it to awaken and open to receive Krishna, the reservoir of pleasure, ecstasy himself. Here, Srimad Bhagavatam is saying, there is a knot within our hearts, but that knot will be torn asunder by Krishna consciousness. Yes, chanting the holy name, but Guru Maharaj's words were Krishna consciousness. Okay, so are we remembering everything? Yes? At time of lunch, we can ask anything. Okay? So there is a knot. We know all these things, but we also try to think a little bit. There is a knot within our hearts, but that knot will be torn asunder by Krishna consciousness. At that time, the flow of our innate tendency for divine love, Swarup Shakti, will inundate the whole heart. When the knot of the heart is torn apart, then as the sleeping soul awakens, the Goloka conception within will emerge and inundate the entire being. So this is Guru Maharaj explaining that verse, Vidyate hridaya grantis verse, that we hear many times from him and from Gurudev. Yes, Prabhu, please come and Jagannath. Okay, now Srila Guru Maharaj This is apparently a difficult problem. But this is apparently a difficult problem. How is it possible that all our doubts may be cleared? Is it possible for the finite to know everything? This statement seems rather inconsistent. It seems absurd. The Upanishads, however, say, who knows him, with a capital H, the Lord, who knows him knows everything, and who gets him gets everything. How will the finite know? Oh yes. How will the finite know that he has everything? And there's also Guru Maharaj having a discussion this way. How will the finite know he has everything? Oh, I have everything. That he has known everything. It appears absurd, but it is confirmed in the scriptures. And if this problem is solved, then all... Any problems in this room?
Who are the Upanishads? You mentioned earlier on.
What? What are... Oh, the Upanishads are ancient scripture.
Okay.
So we can give like specific quality of Upanishads, but ancient, in the ancient scriptures, in the Upanishads, it is said this. All right. So every problem will be solved. So anybody has a problem, here we get it solved. Okay. And if this problem is solved, then all problems are solved automatically. So the finite will realize wholesale satisfaction. And Guru Maharaj uses wholesale in the term, in the sense of absolute and complete satisfaction. And all things satisfied. All his inquisitive tendencies will be satisfied. This is confirmed not only in the Upanishads, but also in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Would you like to say briefly just what Upanishads as opposed to the Puranas?
Upanishads are more codified scripture, so they're a little bit more abstract. There's 108 Upanishads, and focusing on various things. Puranas are more about like histories, stories, instructive stories from the scripture. Upanishad, we know Ishopanishad particularly because Srila Prabhupada translated that and gave commentary on that. So
No, because I don't know why I asked. That's why.
no, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
Want to know,
So they are part of the Vedic canon, if you like, are the Upanishads, but they're a little bit more abstract and abstruse than that. So they're meant for like the Gyanis.
They're scriptures.
But they're scriptures, yeah.
Okay. By your question, we all will. So don't be shy to ask.
No, I'm not shy. If they're more advanced than me, I don't know for me. I just want to know.
No, we are learning also. Yeah, happily. This is why we got Devashiru here.
That's why you come here to learn.
Right, and Devashiru is here. Don't take him for granted. People all over the world want to hear from him. Yeah, just because he lives, 5 kilometers underneath the Blackwell Tunnel, and so nearby. Don't take him for granted, please. All right. So this is confirmed not only in the Upanishads but also in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. Well, here's Guru Maharaj. Okay, I'll read just a little bit more. We're not going to read a lot because we want to have some chance. But here's Guru Maharaj also saying, when he first came to the temple, because when we first come, we don't know, we have to ask. So here, now, directly after this, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Sri Maharaj is saying, when I first came to the Gaudiya Mat, which is our temple line, I mixed very carefully with the devotees. I thought, they say that whatever they teach is the only truth, and that all else is false. This is a bitter pill to swallow. This is Guru Maharaj. This is a bitter pill to swallow. They say Everyone is suffering from ignorance. And what we say is the right thing. Then Guru Maharaj is saying, I thought, what is this? A sane man cannot easily swallow such a pill. When you first hear that, you go, and somebody's walking by and they first come in and they hear that, they'll also think, oh, that's a bitter pill to swallow. I'm a little sensible. I'm not sure I'll take that immediately. So anyway, I also could not digest it so easily at first. And this is Guru Maharaj saying. So he's fully relating with us. I also could not digest it so easily at first. But what they were saying was confirmed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by Srimad Bhagavatam, by the Bhagavad Gita, and by the Upanishads. All these authorities say, yes, it is so. If you know Him, capital H, everything is known. If you get Him, everything is achieved. Everything is got. And Guru Maharaj did not speak in American, just for those who've written in American. Edit. Okay. Hare Krishna. Okay, Srimad Bhagavatam in the 4th canto with verse. In a verse similar to the above line from the Upanishads, also says that all doubts are cleared by Krishna consciousness, and as a result, we come into real knowledge. There it is written, Yata taror mul nishechanena tripyanti tad skanda bhujupa shaka pranopaharachcha yatendriyanam tataiva sarvarhanam achuteja. It's Sanskrit. By watering the root of a tree, so this is a quote, this is this translation of the verse. By watering the root of a tree, all the leaves and branches are automatically nourished. Simply by supplying food to the stomach, all the limbs of the body are nourished. In the same way, if we satisfy the central conception of the Supreme Absolute, all our obligations are automatically fulfilled. Okay? I'm going to end there, the reading. Any question from anyone?
From where is this one?
Who can say, you can, you've been looking at my cheek. It's the loving search for the lost servant. But similar is found in other, it's good because it's similar is found in other places. And you know, all the books basically, you don't have to go beyond a page or two to find the theme of sweetness, beauty, love, charm, and to find the theme of jnana, shunya bhakti, to find the theme of praising devotees, find the theme of following the guidance given by Rupa Goswami in the not Bhakti Rasa, Upadeshamrita, the 11 verses of Rupa Goswami. These themes are just continually there, and all bringing us to the inner necessity of every soul is beauty,
Ecstasy.
okay, all those things. And not
Not power.
not power,
Knowledge.
knowledge,
And all other
or
things.
anything else.
Just beauty, not the beast.
Just beauty, not the beast. Not a new washing machine or a big 3-dimensional television set or whatever. So it's from, yes, good question. Loving Search for the Lost Servant, a wonderful book. And anyway, we could have read from many places.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, what Srila Guru Maharaj was saying about, like when these truths were communicated to him, how can we be mindful of how what we have heard comes across to others when we speak. Sometimes, you know, it can. I'm mindful of how things come across, and if it can be quite instructive, you know, whether or not this is palatable to someone, and how to kind of manage that, the receiving of this knowledge.
So, you mean we are saying to others and how to make it palatable for them to receive it? Well, this is a matter of judgment, because every case is different. And if we could make it palatable, okay, this is how to make it palatable for everyone, then we'll stand on the street corner and everyone will not only feel palatable, but they'll feel hungry, right? Palatable means edible, I mean, in the one sense. So, not only palatable, but we become hungry to want to have this thing. So, if there was one way to do this, it would have been done, as Srila Goswami Maharaj did point out, in a back-to-back the basics class in Navadip Chaitanya Saraswat Matra, on the first floor of the Seva Ashram, back in 2010 probably. Then we invited him to give that class, and it was a class about how to present Krishna, how to people reach in olden where people reach Krishna consciousness. And he said, well, if there was one way so that everyone will get hunger and it will be palatable for everyone, it would already have been done, and everyone would already be Krishna conscious. So it's a matter of judgment, and our little danger is, or big danger perhaps, we want to avoid the 10 offenses to the holy name, so we don't want to preach the glories of the holy name to persons who then will turn around and say some unfortunate remark which is bad for them, but bad for us to hear, and bad for us to realize I am the cause of that person saying something antagonistic about the holy name, about Krishna consciousness, etc.
Yeah, because if a person's going to follow it, it should follow it, not use it.
Ah, yes, a person should follow it if they're going to follow it, yeah. But some
took initiation, him or her, they should follow it properly.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't myself, but I'm just saying, like, people should.
But who we meet, how to talk about Krishna to them. We want to do good for them, but how to make it so that they will want to hear from us. And we have to a little bit measure, like a thermometer or a barometer or something you test. They say testing the waters, don't they? So we need to test the water, how alkaline or how whatever else it is, and try to make it favorable. And one way, but take prasadam, distribute prasadam. When they've got you for having a festival or something, when they got some prasadam in their stomach, that's a good time to tell them about Krishna. Because it's prasadam they've got in their stomach, knowingly or unknowingly, and everybody, 99 people, however religious or irreligious, when they taste prasadam, they appreciate prasadam.
That's what attracts them.
And then when they've taken some prasadam, and then we can say something. So sometimes that may be the strategy, that we will give prasadam first. And here we are in London, and my limited experience in Soho Street, we've been remembering Soho Street, was they had a trick. I don't know if they still do it or not. But all the temples give free prasad, right? I mean, they're giving free prasad. If you come to the program, you get free prasad. If you don't come to the program, the restaurant's downstairs. Please come to the restaurant. You're very welcome. Like that. But if you come to the program, you get free prasadam. And so we would get a mixed bunch of persons come from the local area, which at that time was famous for, a mixed bunch of persons. And anyway, the people would come to the Soho Street Temple, and then they had a trick that sometimes they gave the prasadam before the talk, And sometimes they distributed prasad after the talk. So if you want to be sure to get a free meal, you have to come before the talk and endure the talk. And then you get your free prasadam, like that. So it was a bit of a trick. And then sometimes it is after. So that way, you don't know, are they going to serve it at 12 or 12:30? I better go there at 12. And then get together. But this way also, they've taken something tasty, and always from every temple in the world, from Soho Street, from Hatton Cross, from here, all the temples in the world, you're going to get something different by taking prasad, which is offered, not just cooked, and we're going to exploit with this or earn money with this, but that is cooked for the Lord. So that is also one helpful way. If they've got some prasad first, then we can approach a bit more.
Sometimes we have people come and they say, "What time's prasadam?" It's such and such. I'll come back then.
I know, it does happen.
I'll come back then. See you later.
But also, we mentioned actually yesterday that, so many people came, and maybe perhaps they weren't quite everybody was in the actual gathering of the Harikatha. There could have been maybe 2 or 3 extra at the Prasadam table. But we did make a little comment that after a festival in Navadip, how Gurudev would actually really was the judge of the festival was how many people took prasad and were they satisfied. And if so many people took prasad and they were satisfied, that festival, very successful festival. And Gurudev wasn't really asking about, the Harikatha or how many sat and listened to Harikatha, but how much prasadam was distributed. And really it's a fact. I mean, it was notable that was very much a measure for the public. For our festival, it is the Harikatha, everything, but for the public festival was how much prasad is distributed. And they're automatically, they must hear something, they're in some good vibration. But that was the case. So prasadam has much value. This is mine. I don't even know where's in my pocket. This is in my pocket. Thank you. Okay. This is actually why I'm talking a bit too much now, because I'm going to go, and then you'll have Devashis, Prabhu, and you'll have all our exalted devotees to share things with you. Because oh yeah, that's what I was going to ask. What time's Prasad? I'll come back to Prasad. So anyway, we're working on your answer, and when we find a better solution. And sometimes the collectors, I don't know what is Lavanyamoy. I don't know what is Lavanyamoy. It is like way to collect, or Sachi Devi, the stalwart collectors. But when we were in our former family, they would say this mantra for collecting money, which I didn't like the sound of that mantra, because it's not what I understand is a mantra, is to say to somebody, we want your heart, but we know you're not going to give that, so we take what's nearest your heart, your wallet, things things like this that they'll say for donations. And Divya Shakti, she's got some really funny ones that only she can pull off.
Yeah.
If we would say some of the things she said, we'd probably get punished or something. And in America. But Divya Shakti, she was an actual star, or whether the leading star, but she was an actual Broadway theatre actress. And she used to have, like, all the fancy, whether mink or, but, she was one of those kind of person. So she can pull it off. She's still got that Shakti in her. And Guru Maharaj gave, or Gurudev gave? Gurudev gave the name. Divya Shakti. Because Divya is like light, and Shakti the power. And she's got some power. You must have some power. Lavanya must have some power to convince people to give some funds. But she comes out with some quite outrageous things. And then people kind of stopped and they're shocked, and then she softens it all up, and then she collects a lot of savor.
Can you remember one thing?
I can't, Jagannath. I'd like to, but I mean, they were things that we can't use as mere humans.
I'm a police officer, and I'm going to give you a ticket for not having enough fun here.
All right, there you go. Yeah.
Just kidding, we're collecting for charity.
She's been with Divya right till a few days ago, 2-3 days ago. Oh yes, tell us some more.
That's the one that really sticks out to me. Excuse me, sir. I'm going to have to give you a fine here because you're, I'm an officer here, and they're like, I said, you're just not having enough fun. They're like, oh. I'm just kidding. We're just collecting for charity, and then they're just like, oh, just kidding. And there's other things too, but that's the one I can't remember the other one.
And she doesn't just do one. She's got a whole list of these. But anyway, if you can do that and start your introduction of Krishna consciousness in that way, on the street here we can stop some. Excuse me, I'm a police officer. Fine you. Before the guy goes running off down the street as fast as possible.
Pulls a knife on you.
Put out a knife on the police officer. Hare Krishna. Okay, any other question? I'm here for a moment. Utilize me if I can be utilized.
Maharaj, how old were you when you came to this one?
Where were you last night? You were sitting in the evening
I
program.
missed some of it. I missed.
Oh, you missed
You
some.
were coming in. Yes, you're right. That must have been the question, but I didn't hear the
Okay,
question.
20. Anyway, okay. So now we know you weren't at the beginning. 25. 25.
25.
Yeah. And I felt that I'd wasted already like 8 years of my life. Well, okay, 25 years of my life. But 8 years of my life, like, since being an adult, have grown, been basically, we were completely independent basically from 17 onwards. And that's, we can say that was our grown-up life. But I really thought that, even though we had you could say we had a good life, saw the world and did lots of things. And people seem to be, when they hear about what we did, they seem to be more attracted about what we did before than what we did after we became Krishna conscious. But interestingly, in India, almost nobody asked about that, and it would never really come up.
Well, because it's your birthday, so I'm going to say so.
And now, if you're going to add up the years, now I'm 68. I'm telling myself that because it's unbelievable. So all you young ones, you're going to be 68 in a few days' time, I can tell you. It happens. It happens.
I saw someone, they had a t-shirt on, it said, "It's really weird being the same age as old people."
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay.
For us to think about you in that time, so young, as one of the first, and being at the lotus feet of Guru Maharaj, and then Srila Gurudev for 40 years in Srinath Vidam, but we, became there much later after you were already living there for so long. You were the first Western devotees. We thought, okay, coming to India, but living there was almost like, but you were doing that. And also now to think that you were chosen by the Lord to stay 40 years in Navadvip Dham at the lotus feet of Guru Maharaj and Gurudev, that memory is...
So 30 years has become 40 years, but this is Vaishnava.
that Gurudev also says, well, the Western devotees, they go to Sriman Mahananda, Prabhu, in that time, Srila Madhusudan Maharaj, because there they've given you so much trust, and the Lord has given you that place. What is unbelievable for us to think in that time, as a Westerner, to stay in India, and with all the much more difficulties you had to endure than we.
Did it? I had no difficulties to endure, so don't think there were any
Because
difficulties.
you had already that purity.
No, I hadn't.
Yeah.
Okay. Sachi Devi, you may talk, but I have to actually go now. It's a fact.
Oh, can I
And
just
so-
tell one
Yeah.
story?
You can tell as many stories as you like, but
You really have to go.
I'm gonna. Okay, I'll go when I get the 3 minute, because I have a 3 minute last moment buzz which will come in. When I get that, I'll go, because that's the final.
It's just when we first met you, it was in 1995. The family, I came here with my 3 daughters, and we were in Navadvip, and you were running around like anything, and everybody knew that you were really taking so much responsibility. But what really struck me was that we were all in a room with with another 2 ladies, and you came in the night and were putting screens on the windows for yourself personally, not sending some group or this or that or that. So much care. I never forgot that, because I could see there's a festival, it was a centennial festival, a big festival, and there you were putting screens on our windows so that we wouldn't be eaten alive by mosquitoes, and it really made such an impression on me, and I wanted to say that in remembrance of your wondrous serving.
Well, I've forgotten that, but we did run around and do lots of things, and very happily for the devotees, and very happy, but it was natural, and it's still natural, by the way. I mean, really, we want to do that and not be sitting with people calling that, oh, you are guru, you are this. That's not our idea. But in service, our savor must change, and we do want to share Gurudev and Guru Maharaj, and when we can have an opportunity, or people want to hear, we're happy to say. If people don't want to hear, it's okay. Many things to do in the world, but we are here to share happily. So our service changes, and still we're happy to do what we can. But now we've got much more efficient ones who can do all sorts of things. They can fix all the plumbing, the electrics, everything. And the Western world is much more kind of complicated. There we can just put tape over everything, but we'll get into a lot of trouble if we just put tape over here. Okay, I do need to go, but I am leaving you. We've been together for an hour and a half, and I'm leaving you now with good hands of Devashis Prabhu and the exalted Vaishnavas, and that includes you. So now your turn to we're all here as family to mutually nourish each other. So may that just continue happening. Vanchakalpatrubhyasta kripa sindhubhyeva pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Jai Srila Bhaktivinoda Madhusudan Maharaj.
Hare
Ki
Krishna.
Jai.
All right. There's my 3-minute call.
Srila Gurudev called you his friend, which is the
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay. Have a good morning. Have a good morning.
Is that camera all right there?
Is Sandra here? Yes, that was it.
Devashis Prabhu, I would like to, I got a tour when I came,
Oh, good.
and I am deeply, joyfully impressed
Hare
with what you've done here. All the upstairs, so lovely, and Srila Gurudev's room is just heart-melting, and the front room is so beautiful, and really you've done a wonderful job here.
Actually, Ishanuga did most of the work in the front room, and we just did. It took us about 6 months, but we just did a little bit every week, And Gurudev's room, once we had the new floor on. Did you see the new rooms and everything? So then we had a room for putting the deities' paraphernalia. That was part of the design. And previously that was all being stored in Gurudev's room, so it made it kind of unusable for anything else, So once we did that, then the idea was we want to restore it more or less as it was when Gurudev was here. and Jamuna Priya, she sent me photos of Gurudev in that room. You know, so those pictures on the wall are actually Gurudev sitting in the room up there. Yeah.
I remember.
So you know, some things are the same curtains, and you know, so it's we're very happy for that. You know.
So heart melting to go in there. This is the it looks like that's the grandson.
Did you need a check? Shuri, do you need a check?
Huh?
Do you need a check? You sure?
Exactly like
So actually, generally we broadcast now at 1 o'clock generally, but because Maharaj, he has a Zoom also every Sunday at 1 o'clock, so that's why we broadcasted earlier for today, and as I mentioned before, we have this Annaprashna, that means first grain giving ceremony for one of our congregational members' daughter. So that, I don't think, if any, maybe not many have arrived for that yet, and they'll probably come a little later. So he was also saying it doesn't have to be a big thing, just like a few minutes. And, you know, we shall do that for them. Sudarshan Prabhu, yeah. So we're all, very much always indebted to Srila Madhusudan Maharaj, and perhaps amongst one of my oldest friends in Krishna consciousness. We knew each other when we were in ISKCON, and when we came to Guru Maharaj. Actually, we didn't really know each other. You know, like when we were in ISKCON, I knew that he was there, and he knew I was there, and like we weren't pals or anything, you know. But after coming to Guru Maharaj, that changed, and you know, I was always amazed by how much capacity he had for service. And Srila Guru Maharaj also saw that in him. He was more or less heading up the preaching in Malaysia for a long time. They had a temple there started by Dayada Gauranga Prabhu. It was called the Temple of Sriman Mahaprabhu. And he was like the preacher there mainly, because Dayada was always going here and there and everywhere. But Guru Maharaj called him to his service in Navadvip. And he won't be so happy that I say it. So in a way, it's good that he's not actually here, because you know he has another duty upstairs. So, but Vaishnavas generally don't like to hear praise of themselves, you know. So, but I saw a letter to him from Srila Sridhar Maharaj which said, "I consider you are following perfectly in the line of my Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur." And that was like in the 1980s, you know, like a long time ago. And you know, he had many service duties and so on. And also, when Guru Maharaj gave the chair of the Acharya to Srila Govinda Maharaj, which we all know was an unprecedented thing, that a guru will establish his disciple as a guru in his lifetime. That is almost totally unprecedented, and Guru Maharaj did that for many reasons. But at that time, he said, "Now that you have taken this role as Acharya, many people who you thought were your friends will become your enemies." This is Srila Sridhar Maharaj said this to Gurudev, and he said, "So I say."
A little bit soft downstairs.
So before they were saying, "Turn it down, turn it down." Hendrix concert. So, okay, then. So then Guru Maharaj said to Srila Govinda Maharaj, those who you think are your friends, they'll become your enemies now. So I say you should bring Mahananda Prabhu to be your secretary. And I guess Madhusudan Maharaj was in Malaysia or somewhere then. And he came, and from that time onwards, he was like, Gurudev considered him like his foreign secretary. He kind of said like that, you know. And dealing with, his main duty was dealing with the devotees, Western devotees. And therefore it is not a coincidence that in Srila Govinda Maharaj's last will and testament, he said, at that time he wasn't Maharaj, he was Mahananda Prabhu. He said, sorry, this is still vibrating too much. He didn't say that. He said in his will, and it's there, that Madhusudan Maharaj, he will be the leader of the Western devotees, and no one may cross him. You should know that he is the secretary of Guru Maharaj and my secretary and my trusted friend. So, you know, from the very, you know, beginning, Gurudev had much faith in him and finally wanted him to take that position as the leader of the devotees. In fact, that was his, you know, when they formed the Acharya board, Gurudev was very happy with that. It was formed mainly to give support to Srila Acharya Maharaj, because there were many who were opposing him at that time. Then when Goswami Maharaj suggested, yes, make a Acharya board and we will give support to him. And Gurudev was very happy. Yes, that's very good, very good. But what about Mahananda Prabhu? He's not Acharya. How can he needs to be on that board. And then Goswami Maharaj said, make him the secretary. Then he can be there on that board. So, sorry. Is it too loud? Is it too loud?
Seems to be directional.
Yeah. Oh, balance in one place. Okay, I think that's all right. So anyhow, then when the inspiration came to him to take sannyas, and all of the acharyas of our mission happily accepted that and made him, you know, like full member of the Acharya board at that time. So, and really his position has not changed from that. What others may say, okay, but you can see yourself. Actually, you can see yourself. When I stay in Italy, we're roommates there, you know, and you can see how he lives, and he's just preaching all the time. When I'm there, he's getting up at like 2:00 in the morning, and I can hear him outside. You know, in the pitch black, he's outside doing a Zoom with someone around the country, and then a couple of hours later, he's doing another one, and that's what he does all the time. He's like, and I just couldn't keep up with him at all. And you know, not that I meant to, but really, and I can say, with my hand on my heart, you will never hear one word of criticism of any Vaishnava come from his mouth. He doesn't do that. He never criticizes anybody, and always perfect. His behavior is perfect. Vaishnavata.
When I went last time, we booked a ticket for Puri.
Yes.
But I went the third class. You won't be able to travel in third class. I booked you first class. You did a very good service. So
Yes. Yeah, that was his, and still is, not just his service, but his great pleasure in life was to take care of the devotees. And now he's doing that in a slightly different way, but he's taking care of the Vaishnavas. And really he knows Srila Gurudev and Srila Guru Maharaj. He knows what their standard is, what they accept, what they don't accept, how things should be. You know, all of those things he knows. Well, even all of our other acharyas may not know what he knows.
He used to drive Gurudev with a Honda car.
That's right. Yeah. So you know, without any prejudice to anyone, I have to say, I consider him to be the best of us. Really, he's the best of us. That came to Guru Maharaj in the 1980s. He was and is the best of us. And if you follow him, you follow the Lord. This is. I remember that. You remember that. That's Mukunda Prabhu used to say that. It was his joke, standing joke. Follow me and you follow the Lord. If he was going somewhere, but that always remember that.
This tradition. He's the head of this.
Well, he wouldn't say that in his humility, but his position in our sampradaya is very important and very significant, and you can get much help from him.
Yeah.
If you hear from him, and he's non-aggressive and always humble and tolerant, and always wants to give honor to the Vaishnavas and encouragement to the Vaishnavas. Wherever he goes, he's always encouraging everyone in devotional life and devotional service. And yes, he's.
I took a few fishes for him last week. Was it a couple of weeks ago?
And Gurudev considered him as his trusted friend, and that's as Pandita rightly said. You know that Gurudev didn't say that about everybody. So you know, then we are very happy to have his association, to have his counsel, and to be in his, you can say, circle of devotees. It is very, very good, and really he is exemplary example of a Vaishnava, and a Vaishnava of Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mata, as Srila Govinda Maharaj and Srila Guru Maharaj conceived of it. Anyhow, I felt, you know, as it is, you know, his appearance day, he's also very shy about that. And I also understand that, you know, because now it's become almost meaningless. You know, we say Vyasa Puja, it was his Vyasa Puja. Just another way of saying his birthday. But Vyasa Puja is much more than that. It's a very deep thing, you know. It's not like everyone has a Vyasa Puja, or, you know, like everyone has an appearance day. We're all in samskar. We're all in, you know, the wheel of samsara. Then to kind of even saying that, no real Vaishnava will feel that about themselves. Yes, my Vyasa Puja. No, of course not. Of course not. So it is, I know, but seriously, it's a very serious thing that anyone will sit on the throne of Vyas. That is not anyone can do that, or everyone can do that, and no serious Vaishnava will think, yes, I can do that. You know, then you're, you know, Ramaharshana Sutta or something. You know, won't give proper honor to Baladev, then watch out. So yeah, so you know, he's also, we discussed, and he's thinking, it's too much. You know, well, who am I? And everyone telling Vyasa Puja this, Vyasa Puja that. But I said, yes, Maharaj, that's true, but your disciples have some right. They have some right to do that. And so, as much as you feel yourself genuinely feel yourself to be unqualified, then but still you have to tolerate that and accept that and offer it to Gurudev. That's all you can do. Yes, I know. But he always tries to hide it. You know, he wants that when they're making the calendar for the new year, then he wants all of the acharyas, and then when they come to put his, no, he doesn't want his birthday put on there, so we have to sneak it in sometimes. He doesn't like it. This is normal, but as we say, the disciple has some right with their guru to give worship, to give honor. But, you know, also at the same time, we have to be realistic in our life, you know, that not everyone even everyone who does the service of Guru they're not all Paramahansa Vaishnavas. They're Paramahansa Vaishnava that we know, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev. They're the Paramahansa Vaishnavas that we know. And others are Vaishnavas, no doubt, and doing their service to connect the new disciples with the line of Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat. But and also disciple has right to consider their guru to be the highest type of Vaishnava. But Sri Maharaj says, when he's explaining that, he says, of course you will want to know to what extent that is true. He said, so because to draw the maximum faith of the disciple, that's one thing, but also isn't necessary for us to be realistic and honest. Otherwise we're deceiving people. We should not deceive people. When Srila Janardhan Maharaj, he was going to India one time, and on the plane there were some devotees from ISKCON, and they're disciples of the disciples of Prabhupada. So then Janardhan Maharaj asked him, so how do you feel about your guru? You know, like, what's your thinking about your guru? And they say, he is the Vaishnava that's connecting us with Srila Prabhupada. This was the opinion. And when he came to Srila Govinda Maharaj, he said, that's not right, is it, Maharaj? You know, that they should be thinking their guru's the highest and all of this. And Srila Govinda Maharaj says, but they have a point, don't they? Because that's the truth, right? That not all of the gurus are now Paramahansa Vaishnavas are the same as Prabhupada. None of them would claim that. You know, and similarly, none of the gurus are on the same level as Srila Sridhar Maharaj or Srila Govinda Maharaj. And none of them would claim that if they're genuine. None of them would claim that. But so, you know, then the guru connects the disciple with the disciplic line. And just as in ISKCON they recognize that the preeminent acharya is Srila Prabhupada, it's his mission, and always will be. So in Chaitanya Saraswat Mat is always and always will be the mission of Srila Sridhar Maharaj and Srila Govinda Maharaj. And all the gurus that come after them, they're connecting the new devotees with that line. And that's perfect and right, and should be. And every disciple has the perfect right to see their guru in whichever way they feel inspired to see them. But they shouldn't think that everyone will see like that. So, you know, that we all have our own experience in Krishna consciousness. So, I said to Srila Goswami Maharaj once, and I said, Maharaj, forgive me, but all of you together don't equal Srila Govinda Maharaj. And he just laughed and he said, no, of course we don't. Of course not. You know, so, you know, there's nothing offensive about calling a spade a spade. You know, it is what it is. And every Vaishnava that does that service as a guru in our line, we worship them for that. And we honor them for that. But at the same time, we see, it's called It's called Tatasta Bichar. You can see. Like Srila Maharaj says, you may think that your mother's the best mother that there ever was. But if you compare all the mothers in the world together, you may find that that's not actually true, you know. It may be to you, she's my mum, she's the best mum, there's never been a mum like that. And you're right to feel that. But it may not be, like, objectively true. So similarly, you know, we see that. Like when we're children, I remember when we were children, we used to fight in the playground. Yeah, my dad could beat up your dad. My dad's in the army, and my dad's, you know, we shouldn't be like that when it comes to guru. Yeah, my guru's better than your guru, and your guru's, no. Guru is Krishna. What the divine flow that comes through that Vaishnava, that is Krishna. Krishna says, Acharya Mam Vijanaya. I am the Acharya. But Guru Maharaj also says there are three different kinds of guru. There's the Uttam Guru, who's there in the spiritual world, extending his hand to us to bring us up. The Madhyam Guru is 1 foot here, 1 foot there, and taking the people to Vaikuntha. And also the Kanishta Guru, both feet here, but his eyes towards Vaikuntha. Come on, let's go there. All can be Guru and do that service. But if you apply that Tatasta Vichar and look according to the scripture, you can see not all Guru is the same. And to think that is a foolishness. And you're setting yourself up maybe for disappointment later on if you think like that. But we know that Srila Prabhupada is a Paramahansa Vaishnava. We know that Srila Maharaj is a Paramahansa Vaishnava. We know that Srila Govinda Maharaj is a Paramahansa Vaishnava. Then, what's the problem? We are their followers. Srila Govinda Maharaj said to me, in the time of Guru Maharaj, he said, when we all mix together, disciples of Madhav Maharaj, Madhusudan Maharaj, Goswami Maharaj, means the God brothers of Prabhupada, God brothers of Srila Maharaj. Said all of the disciples, we all mixed together, and no one was asking, who's your guru? That question never came up, because our conception was, we are all followers of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. That's our line. And similarly, in Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, we are all followers of Srila Govinda Maharaj and Srila Guru Maharaj. That's our line. We don't care who your Diksha Guru is. We don't care. I mean, I don't mean that in a derogatory way or anything. It's not important. What's important is you're in that line. You're in the line of Srila Guru Maharaj. And it is a unique line. And that line isn't defined by anybody else. It's by Guru Maharaj, by his teaching, by his writings, by his conception. Srila Guru Maharaj said, the Chaitanya Saraswat Mat is the pure line where the teachings of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur are practiced and preached. Pure. And Srila Govinda Maharaj, his whole life was promoting that. And he was and is, you can say, the other half of Srila Sridhar Maharaj. Like inseparable, like Rupa and Sanatan. You cannot think of Rupa without Sanatan. You cannot think of Srila Sridhar Maharaj without Srila Govinda Maharaj, and vice versa. They are inseparable, and their mission is one mission. And in that mission, after them, there are many who must continue that. Not just one. There must be many, and we praise that. We worship that. We adore that. That's what we want. But what we want, as Srila Govinda Maharaj said, we don't care if it's big or small. We only care that it's 100% Guru Maharaj. And that's what defines Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat. And we're all in, part of that. We should never forget that. And now that new devotees are coming, they never met Srila Guru Maharaj, they never met Srila Govinda Maharaj, they never met Srila Prabhupada. But those of us that did, it's our responsibility to extend that to them. to make that clear to them, then otherwise it becomes diluted. What they have given, that should never be diluted. It should be the foundation of Sri Chaitanya Saraswat eternally. And of course, there is possibility that some other great Vaishnava may manifest themselves during our lifetime, but we shouldn't just think that's the case always. Everyone, now they're taking disciples, they must be on the same level as them. We shouldn't think like that. We should understand intelligently. We're not blind followers. We are meant to use our intelligence and discrimination, and we should guard very, very carefully against Vaishnava aparad. In the name of fidelity to your guru, to make offense to every other Vaishnava is suicide. That should never happen in any respect, for any purpose. Srila Govinda Maharaj said, this was my first lesson from Guru Maharaj, to serve the Vaishnavas without envy. Then we should see like that. And Srila Govinda Maharaj, he was always giving honor to everybody. And if there is I don't know what it would be, in the Akash, in the ether, like the encyclopedia of spiritual life. When you look up Trinada Pisuni Chena, next to that verse, you'll see a picture of Srila Govinda Maharaj. He's like the very personification of that. He is that verse, like personified. And we know that. And if we claim to be members of the Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, we have to follow his example and how he taught us. He taught us how to behave amongst Vaishnavas. And we have to take that very seriously. And we shouldn't be thinking, that was 40, 50 years ago, it's not relevant anymore. That's like saying that Rupa Goswami was 500 years ago, not relevant anymore. Of course it's relevant. And as Munindra Prabhu is always saying, we're not wanting to live in the past. And that's true, we want to go forward in the future. But all of those things, that time that we had with Srila Guru Maharaj, with Srila Guru Dev, is not just like, nostalgia. They're actually points in eternity. They're part of the eternal Leela of the Lord. So, then they're always worshipable and useful to us to understand these things. Always. They're not just something, like, why are you always concentrating on these people that died 50 years ago or whatever. No. That's like saying, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 500 years ago is not applicable for today, I was in Calcutta once. Many of you will remember when you, in days gone by, if you were flying, you had to go to Calcutta to the airline office to reconfirm your ticket. You couldn't do it online. There was no online or anything. You had to go physically. You had to go to the office. So I remember once I was flying on Bangladesh Biman, and does it even exist anymore? I don't know if it even exists anymore. But I went to the office there to reconfirm. I was dressed in dhoti and everything, and when I went there was an imam or a mullah, Muslim priest, sitting there next to me in the chair, and he saw my religious dress, and then he started talking to me, and surprisingly, he had this really broad Texan accent. He was from Texas. He wasn't from Bangladesh or anywhere. Anyway, we started talking, and he was like preaching to me, And he said, "Oh, you're a follower of like Vedic religion?" Yes. And he said, "But if you've got like what year it was, like a 1985 Mercedes Benz, like that was the year. Then, but referring to the 1970 Mercedes manual. That's no good. You need the manual for the update, and then he's saying like, and Muhammad, he's the seal of the prophets. He was the one that came most recently, And I said, well, have you heard of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? No, I've not. Yeah, he came 500 years ago. And I said, and you know what? His representative is living in Navadvip now. Why don't you come with me and meet him? You can really see the updated version if you come and meet him. The up-to-date version. He said, oh no, I'm flying later this evening. I can't go. But anyway, before he left, he gifted me a Quran. And I took that on my head. And we parted as friends. But, his idea, I said, yeah, what you say is true. But there are living Vaishnavas now. And you can learn from them. And our Guru Maharaj is there. So, okay. Maybe we'll not see the like of those Vaishnavas again in our life. We don't know. But it is, what we learned from them is invaluable. And especially what we learned from Srila Govinda Maharaj, I can say. Because we had like 6 years association with Srila Sridhar Maharaj. We had 25 years association with Srila Govinda Maharaj. No one had that. The followers of Saraswati Thakur didn't have that. The followers of Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj didn't have that. And for most of us, disciples of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, we didn't have that. But with Srila Gurudev, over 25 years we had with him. Then we must have learned something, surely. And we must have learned something valuable that we can give to others, that we can share with others. Yeah, 24 times he came here. So, yes. So, that's like miraculous that we had that kind of association. But that also means we have responsibility now to try and not only practice those teachings that he gave to us, but to share them with the next generation. And we want to do that, when you have something wonderful in your life, you want to share that with others, isn't it? And really, we can all say, all of us that were part of that, it was the most extraordinary time of our lives. And it's not over because Gurudev's not physically with us anymore. Because this is his mission, this is Srila Sridhar Maharaj's mission. And they're not impotent. They're overseeing everything and they will do everything. But the Lord works through his devotees. And so the Gurudev, Guru Maharaj, they work through their devotees. And we should be confident in the help of those devotees, not suspicious about those devotees. We don't believe in Diksha Guru Parampara. We believe in Shiksha Guru Parampara. And that is all important. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj told that so much. I'm not a form maker, I'm a form breaker. Then how will we now say that the Sampradaya of Srila Sridhar Maharaj has become all about form? We can't admit that. Never.
So what's the
we can admit that.
Diksha and Shiksha?
Diksha means the initiation, formal initiation from guru to disciple. And we're not saying it's unimportant, it's important.
Yeah.
But Shiksha means the teaching. And that's the all-important thing. For most people, they're Diksha Guru and Shiksha Guru same. For most people. But just recently I was reading, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, those who think that only having one guru, they'll always have difficulties in spiritual life. We want many gurus, we want many guardians. We want as many as we can possibly have that can help us in our spiritual life. And guru means who helps us in our spiritual life, actually, whether formally or informally or however it is. But Shiksha is everything. Like we can say, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Diksha Guru is Bipin Bihari Goswami. But substantially, he considered Jagannath Das Babaji his guru, although they weren't connected by Diksha, but by Shiksha. So it's not so important who is your, that's what I said, we don't care who your Diksha guru is. It doesn't mean we don't care about, the Vaishnava. But it's not important. The important thing is the teaching. And all those that represent Srila Sridhar Maharaj, Srila Govinda Maharaj, their very validity is based on how they represent those teachings of Srila Sridhar Maharaj and Srila Govinda Maharaj.
Must follow all of them. Must go to some temple.
No, I'm not saying that. That's fine. We also accept Srila Prabhupada as our Shiksha Guru, and in some cases Diksha Guru. Srilekha is a Diksha disciple of Srila Prabhupada. But all important is Shiksha.
Gurudev was the Diksha and Shiksha.
Yeah, and that is, like I said, for most people, Diksha and Shiksha Guru, same person. But it doesn't mean that it's confined there, that many examples given in the scripture. That Srila Prabhupada, he directed us to Srila Sridhar Maharaj. Then his Diksha disciples, he told them, if you want a Shiksha Guru, Sridhar Maharaj is your man. He's the person you should go to. And we want Shiksha Guru. We want that. Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, if you think that there's nobody higher than you in this world that can help you spiritually, you're in a very bad position. We should be eager to look for higher Vaishnavas that can give substantial help to us in our life. We should be eager for that.
And that famous quote, here's Mr. Ghost.
Yes, exactly, yeah. So it's all about, we should try to recognize the thread, the line. We should try to see that. Srila Guru Maharaj said, just having good wiring isn't enough. The wiring has to be connected to the source. And if it isn't connected to the source, doesn't matter how good the wiring system is. Doesn't matter. You plug your item into it, nothing's going to come through. But if it's connected to the dara, the current, then you can, even if the wiring might be a bit dodgy sometimes, you can more chance of getting something through that. So that's Shiksha and Diksha. Diksha is important. Everyone needs to have Diksha. Yeah.
Then I followed the Guru.
In spiritual life, there can only be one Diksha Guru. You can't have like many Diksha Gurus. Only one. But Shiksha Gurus, you may have many. And should have many. We want many. But you need to be a little bit savvy, a little bit wise about who you should accept as your Shiksha Guru also. That somebody said that to Srila Govinda Maharaj, now there are so many missions and so many pure devotees, isn't it wonderful? And Srila Govinda Maharaj said, I wish it were true that it was wonderful, but actually it's made a jungle. And then, who can navigate that jungle? We don't know who anyone is. And in one case, Srila Gurudev said, he may be Mahadev, but we are happy with Srila Guru Maharaj. So, then, and he also said to Goswami Maharaj, at the particular time, Srila Goswami Maharaj, he published Sri Guru in His Grace, and it was very necessary for us to read that, understand that, absorb that. But Srila Govinda Maharaj said, you should have made a chapter at the beginning about fidelity to Sri Guru first, Otherwise now it's encouraging you go here, there, everywhere like a spiritual tourist.
Chastity.
Yeah, so chastity to Sri Guru is also an important thing. Then no one said that spiritual life is just going to be a straight path. There's always going to be some difficulty, some controversy, some problem, but if you're sincere, then Srila Guru Maharaj said, if you're not in the market to be cheated, then nobody can cheat you. You can only be cheated if you want that. And there's plenty of people out there ready to cheat you. And if you want it, they're ready. They're ready to take your money and tell you how great you are. But we're not interested in that. We're interested in reality. And Srila Guru Maharaj taught us that so much. Impressed that upon us so much. So we want reality. In fact, when...
I'll be back in a few minutes.
Yes, Prabhu, yes. In fact, when the leaders of the ISKCON, they came to Srila Guru Maharaj to consult after the disappearance of Srila Prabhupada, and they're asking him every day many, many questions. And you may not know, and you may be surprised to know, but how they manage their mission now is more or less based on what Srila Sridhar Maharaj imparted to them in those meetings. They didn't maybe take it on board immediately, but now they're running that way. And but one day during those meetings, then when they came to sit with Guru Maharaj said, "So you've asked me so many questions. Now today I have a question for you." I said, "Okay." Then he asked them, "What is Krishna consciousness?" And each was giving some idea, Maybe Kirtanananda Swami said, "What Prabhupada taught us, that is Krishna consciousness." And Guru Maharaj liked that, appreciated that. Yes, very good. But what did he teach you? What is Krishna consciousness? Can you tell me? And they're all telling, various things and giving some idea. And then finally they said, but Guru Maharaj not fully satisfied with any of their replies. Then finally they said, "Okay, Maharaj, you tell us what is Krishna consciousness." And he said, "Krishna consciousness is reality. And you would be very much well advised to understand that, to connect with that. Krishna consciousness means reality. This is not just religion. In fact, I always think Krishna consciousness is for people who aren't really interested in religion. Religion just means sitting, hallelujah, it's kind of boring. In my experience, religion's kind of boring, and full of rituals and all kinds of things without much consciousness of what it's all about. And then my religion doesn't look like your religion, so we're going to have a bit of a fight about that. And are we interested in that really? No, we're not interested in that. So even people say, like Hinduism, they call it Sanatan Dharma, but we're not even interested in that really, worship of many gods and so many things. We're interested in Krishna because Krishna is reality the beautiful. And Krishna is not just a god of the Hindus. He's God. We're interested in him. We're interested in connecting with him, with the Krishna conception of Godhead. And that isn't about, sometimes the devotees also say Sanatan Dharma, Krishna consciousness, but we like Jaiva Dharma. That means the religion of the soul. It's the religion of the soul. And that applies to everybody, everyone. So, then Mahaprabhu Chaitanya Dev came to give that highest thing, made that available to everybody. So we're also not going to spend our time fighting over things, fighting over my guru and your guru and this thing and that thing. And we're not interested in that. We're interested in what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give, as Maharaj was reading. Love, beauty, charm, sympathy, harmony, ecstasy. All of these things. We're interested in that. And that's what Krishna consciousness is about. We're not to fixate on silly things that are maybe going on in organized religion, or as I say, unorganized, disorganized religion. Then whether you're interested in religion or not, you'll find your fulfillment in Krishna. That also example given in Srimad Bhagavatam, the sacerdotal Brahmins, when Krishna and Balaram came to beg some food from them, they can't. No, we haven't got time. We're doing our religion. We're practicing our religion. But they went to their wives, and their wives, fed them, looked after them, cared for them. That's higher than doing your religious duty or whatever it is. Come directly to the service of Krishna. You can, through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you can do that. You can give your time for that. Not just getting wrapped up in the minutiae of, external things. Form and substance, Guru Maharaj always making that distinction. But it doesn't mean the form's useless, because the substance is couched in the form, generally. But we just shouldn't mistake one for the other. Always the substance is the essential thing, and the form not so important. And when those two things come to clash, then you leave the form and embrace the substance. That's what is required of all of us in some way or another, or at some time or another. That's required of us. We're not trying to make the world perfect. The world will never be perfect. And the reason for that is because Krishna wants us to understand this world's not our home. If Krishna made the world perfect for us, we think, I'm going to stick around here, it's all right. So for that reason, the world's never perfect. There's always thorns. When you go to pick a rose, there's always thorns to get in your way. So, then the world is always going to be filled with problems, and, don't worry about it. We're not praying to the Lord to make the world perfect for us. We're just praying to the Lord for His service, for His connection, somehow or another to get His connection. That's what we're striving for. That's what Krishna consciousness is about. We're trying to understand that He's not there to provide us with things or stuff or anything. We're here for Him. When we were in Ireland, Suvasini and her husband, they took us to the John Kennedy's gardens. JFK, the President of the United States, that he has an estate there, quite near where they live, and they've got these gardens, like a kind of botanical gardens, and which they've kind of given to the people of Ireland. And we went there, and we had some walk there. It was very beautiful, Then in like the reception center, there's a pond, not a pond, like a pond with a fountain, and engraved around the outside, there's something written in Gaelic, and we can't read it, it's in Gaelic, but when you go around the back, the same thing is written in English. So I saw that, and I said, to Madhusudan Maharaj, I said, Maharaj, guess what this says? He said, how would I know what it says? I said, it's one of the things that Guru Maharaj quoted. Can you guess what it is? He said, yes. No, it's Kennedy said, famously, ask not what your country can do for you, but rather ask what can you do for your country. And Guru Maharaj quoted that and said, similarly, ask not what Krishna can do for you, but what can you do for Krishna? What can I do for Krishna? This is the beginning of the proper conception of spiritual life. That everything is meant for Him, and I am also meant for Him. I am part of His creation. All the creation is meant to satisfy Him. I'm also part of that creation. Then I'm meant to satisfy Him. I'm not meant for, making my plans and, all these ambitious things that I have in the world. That's all foolish, wild goose chasing. It's all worthless. Actually, there's nothing, Srila Guru Maharaj said, there's nothing in this world worth aspiring for. Nothing at all. So just forget it and ask, what can I do for the service of you, Lord Krishna? Then your spiritual life will begin. Spiritual life isn't just about like augmenting your material life, making it more, sattvic or wholesome or organic or whatever it is, No. It's about understanding that you are meant for Him. 100% you are meant for Him. Then, okay, we're all, attached to so many things in this material world, and that's mainly comfort and convenience is the main thing that we're attached to in this world. But we may have also, especially when you're young, you have so many ambitions about things you want to fulfill in your life and all of these things. You want, the perfect family, the perfect home, whatever it is. Okay, that's all right. Whether you desire everything in this world or you desire nothing in this world, go to Krishna for that. Ask Him for everything in this world or ask Him for nothing in this world. But don't go anywhere else. Go to Krishna. And you will get Krishna eventually. Or immediately, if that's your desire. So, then, okay, we're all addicted to this material world. That's okay, that's a given. But when we understand that our real purpose is to satisfy Him, and don't think that, I'm so insignificant, there's no possibility that I could ever do anything to satisfy Him. No, that's why you exist. You exist because you have some purpose to satisfy Him. That's the reason you exist. And you just have to understand that. And the rest is detail. And that's why we come to Guru and Vaishnava. Okay, now I understand that I am meant for Him. Please show me how I can be for Him. You please show me how to do that. And how to get rid of all this garbage that I've got myself tangled up in. And let me, make me a pure soul for Him. Srila Guru Maharaj, he would say, that whoever we are, we can come to Krishna immediately. And once I said to Srila Govinda Maharaj, I don't think I can do this service in London, You please, post somebody else and I'll serve them, give that to somebody else, I'll serve them. And he said, oh, Prabhu, why you say that? And I said, because I think it needs a Hanuman to do this service, And, someone like Hanuman can do this service. You, bring a Hanuman here and I'll serve them. That'll be fine, And then Gurudev said to me, oh, you don't think I can make you Hanuman? Okay, Maharaj. I can't argue with that, can I? I'm still waiting for that. Still waiting for that. But anyway, that's His power. He can make us anything, Then if we have any prayer to the Lord, it should be, if we make a prayer to the Lord, it should be, you please make me what you want me to be. That should be our prayer. We've got so many ideas about what we should be and who we should be and all of these things, but generally that's all illusion. If we have a prayer, it should be, you please make me what you want me to be. And the rest of it, is just it's the journey. It's the journey.
Excuse me, Guru.
Yeah.
Talking the material desires, what are the three modes of material desire the divine power talks about? What are the three modes of material desire?
Well, 3 modes of nature: Raja, Sattva, Tamas.
That's what it is.
Yeah. And, we're all influenced by that to some degree. So goodness, passion, ignorance, all of those things, they influence us. And, we progress in our life towards Sattva Guna. That's more conducive to spiritual life. But even that is conditioned, and even Sattva Guna is conditioned. So we want to connect with the Shuddha Sattva plane. That means that not above these three modes of material nature. The Lord is Adhoksaja, He exists in that plane. The plane where Sattva, Raja, Tamas, they can't touch Him. They can't touch Him. So we want to connect with that plane. And whatever, is... we are filled with so much desire. From time immemorial, we've been here. And all that time, we've been accumulating, all kinds of misconception, all kinds of prejudices, all kinds of false identification. We've been accumulating that. So you can't just leave that immediately. That's impossible, because, that's how you see yourself. Yeah? All of that conglomeration of thoughts and experiences and so many things in the world, we are thinking that's us. But first of all, we have to realize that it's not us. At least theoretically, we realize that we're not this body, we're not the flesh and bones, we're not the mind, we're not the thoughts that run through our head incessantly. We're something else. We're spirit, the jiva, the atma. We need to understand that we're that, but that currently is so covered by the rubbish of this world. Then we need to clear that rubbish. And Lord Chaitanya has given us the prescription for that. Chaito Darpana Marjana. By chanting the holy name of the Lord, all of that dissolves, gradually dissolves. And you become able to perceive your real self. Not like, maybe sometimes it happens to some people in that kind of flash moment, udipana, it comes like a flash. But for most of us, it's a gradual, like, chipping away of those coverings that are with us. But still, we have no choice. We have to go in that direction. Once you know the truth, you've got no alternative but to pursue that. You can't, like, whatever you do to try to deny that, it'll never let you go. Because the truth is all there is, ultimately. The truth is all there is. So it's going to claim you. So there's, Rupa Goswami says, if there's anything that you value in this material world, my friend, please don't go to the banks of Keshi Ghat and look at that boy with the eyes like lotus petals, standing in the threefold bending form playing his flute. Don't look at him. Because once you see him, everything else will be like rubbish to you. It's just the way it is, I'm afraid. So if you do value anything in this world, don't go there. Don't look at that boy. But I'm sorry to say, to all of you, it's too late. You all looked at him. So, and that means you all know in your heart of hearts that everything in this world is rubbish in comparison. So it's just a matter of time. But don't compromise. Always strive for your ideal in life. Even if you can't get that today or tomorrow, don't worry, don't compromise. Again, Rupa Goswami has given us the example of the chatak bird, that he's always praying to the cloud for rainwater. He may live in a tree on the banks of a lake. He's not going to drink anything from that lake. So we have to be like that. We're not going to try to find our satisfaction in this material world. We want only the grace of Lord Krishna. And like the chatak bird, sometimes the rain comes. Sometimes no rain comes. Sometimes a thunderbolt comes on the head of that bird. But still, he's not going to say, oh, right, if it's a thunderbolt, I'm going to go and drink from the lake. I've had enough of this. I'm No. Yeah, there has to be some determination. That, no, I'm not going to try and find my satisfaction in this material world. I'm only going to find satisfaction in the service of Krishna. You have to be convinced of that. We have to be convinced of that. And what should convince us of that? I may be an idiot and can be persuaded by anyone who's got a good argument about something. But I can tell you, my Guru Maharaj was not an idiot. My Guru Maharaj was a genius. Srila Saraswati Thakur called him Shastra Nipuna, genius of scripture. And he accepted this as the only path to find satisfaction in the world. He is a genius. He was acknowledged as a genius by his peers. No pundit could defeat him. No scholar could make him retract his opinion about spiritual life. He didn't care for any of that. So that should be enough to convince us. When we see the stalwart devotees, they're our example. We see them and we aspire for what they have by their grace. So, anyway, now I think is a good time to stop. Or unless someone else wants to say something. Maybe Srilekha, did he say something?
I was thinking about what you were speaking about originally, and after all,
Yeah.
Sometimes long gaps,
Right.
sometimes short gaps. And Srila Guru Maharaj said, just like the constellations, or when you look in the sky, you're going to see the sun and the moon and like major planets. But in between them, there are many, many, many other planets. But they're not taken so much, they're not the major...
Can you stretch that over?
Oh,
No. I'm not sure it'll even reach you. But
they're not the major planets. So, as you're saying, this is a shiksha from not only... The whole thing is based on shiksha. The whole thing is based on revelation from the completely pure heart of a fully surrendered soul. But we have to understand how rare that is. That manifestation is really rare. And so there are gaps. It doesn't mean there are not Vaishnavas there who are honorable. But when truth is always something which is descending. Always. We can't manufacture truth in the blender of our brain. And even what we're hearing with a mood of surrender so that may come actually and be revealed in our hearts. It is always descending. Every manifestation is a descending manifestation. So who can catch that? Who is, in Brahma Samhita, there's a very beautiful verse about that. Anandachimaya Rasatmakayamanasu Yapranina Putipalam Smaratamopetya Nilai Tena Bhuvanam Jaya Chaitashram Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Vajani. Here, Lord Brahma is speaking at the dawn of creation, explaining this very fine point that if you want to know the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you will find him in the heart of the pure Vaishnava. Don't think that you'll find him somewhere else. That would be a figment of your imagination. But who is keeping the Lord? Whose heart is so noble and so dignified? He is attracting the Lord to live there. And they are bringing, their remembrance of the Lord is bringing victory to this world. But that manifestation is not always happening. some partial thing is there maybe, but when the fully manifested Vaishnava, the fully surrendered Vaishnava descends into this world, and his heart is actually completely bringing victory to the whole environment, it is rare. So we're not disappointed about this. And we are all, we are all trying to become the pure servants of such persons to some degree. And we're trying to, whatever little bit we're given, we're trying to share with our friends. So this is the situation, and we don't have to be disappointed about that. It has its purpose. Every wave of the Lord's will that is coming has a purpose. And we're all trying to become submissive in our movements within the waves of that, how it's manifesting. So, as Devashis Prabhu was saying, there was a great manifestation of these types of Vaishnavas, and this may come again, we do not know when. But Srila Govinda Maharaj, when he was, preparing to unmanifest himself, he said, I'm not leaving another Govinda Maharaj. It's not the nature of this time, and it's okay. It has its purpose, and we will all try to follow according to how we have been taught. And it is a joyful thing. It's not a bad thing. It has a divine purpose behind it. And so we, as Devashis was saying, we're honest. How it is what it is. And we can dance in that part of the Leela Mahaprabhu. Sometimes the Ganga is manifest, sometimes the Ganga is not manifest. But we know where it is generally. And we can still worship that place. So I just thought I'd add that point because I very often hear this because it's one of the glasses that I have on in my car. So there's certain ones that I never always get. But everything is good. And there's another beautiful talk. I don't know how much time we have. She's asking someone.
Ceremony now.
Yeah, please, yeah.
This is a very nice talk. It's on YouTube.
Here?
Yeah.
It's a
Okay,
video.
so
And it's called
when
My Fault
Srilekha is finished,
or Krishna's Will.
then we can do.
Now this is a question that comes into the mind of everyone.
Maybe it's one of the
I've done
Yeah.
something, it didn't turn out right. Is that Krishna's will or is that my responsibility? And Raiku hasn't thought about this. So Srila Guru Maharaj gives the most wonderful answer, and I had to listen to the class many times before I feel that maybe I caught this a little bit, but he's saying fault is ubiquitous. Fault is everywhere. We can't even conceive of no fault. In any endeavor that we make, there will be a fault. We can't even, it's not possible for us to think that there won't be. It is natural. But that doesn't mean that Krishna is not there to connect with under those circumstances. This was kind of life-changing. As we find that Guru Maharaj's words are always life-changing. That sometimes we feel a lamentation. Oh, I didn't do this right. I made this mistake. I'm this and that and that. But that doesn't mean that the Lord isn't there to bow down to under all circumstances. We simply want and pray for sincerity. And if we see I'm not sincere, then I can't do that because I wasn't sincere. I'm never sincere. But the fact is, the Lord is attracted by our sincere prayer. And we can go in front of Him under any circumstance and say, my Lord, you see me. You see I'm not sincere. Even when I'm praying to you for sincerity, I'm not sincere. You know this, but please don't look at that. You are the ocean of mercy. Give me your mercy in spite of myself. So when that expression, hope springs eternal, there is nothing that manifests that like the hopefulness of approaching the Lord in spite of our own lack of qualification. This attracts the Lord. He is the ocean of mercy, and we want to make ourselves those who need mercy desperately. And we're like Prabhu was saying, we have all these prejudices and coverings of how to make it in this world, and so much deception. You know what I mean? We have so many little games that we play, so many layers of jnana and karma, and so much deception to our friends. What do we do on Facebook? I always look at it from this side. It's all deception, right? So we are trying to come to the Lord naked. Naked meaning I admit that I have done wrong, and ever since I've become aware of myself as an individual, coming from, this non-differentiated plane where we all come from, I became aware of myself as an individual with a tendency to exploit. So what qualification am I going to approach you with? I'm a criminal from the top to the bottom. And the Lord doesn't care about that. He just cares that we've come to Him as the recipient of His sweetness and His unconditional grace. And every little bit of us that wants prestige, that wants to be strong, that wants to be qualified will be knocked down publicly. And that is the one thing we pray for, because it is non-different from progress. Progress is in a negative direction, getting rid of what I am not. So hope springs eternal, like anything, in the service of the great followers of Mahaprabhu. And so we will never become discouraged. And we'll go on, knowing that He's always there. We will bow down to Him under our worst circumstances, knowing that grace is bringing us forward. So, very hopeful. Our life is made out of hope. And that hope is